So the second Fighters Pass for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate had recently come to a close, and I could say it was definitely an interesting ride. This one was far more surprising just because of who got in, at least to me, because they all came out left field, at least most of them. But I could say more often than not, I was at least interested in playing them, and some of them I ended up really enjoying. And of course with this video, I'll talk about each of them similar to the first one, and I'll definitely link that one in the description. And they will of course be Rare 5 as well. And now let's get into the first Kyoto Min Min. With how they first talked about, or at least, referencing it, they definitely started off kind of weird because they just mentioned an ARMS character was coming and there would be a direct later on. And while I kind of wish they just showed the character right then and there, I can say getting an ARMS character was at least interesting because the game kind of did look cool, and whenever I played of it, it was fun, and I was definitely interested to see how the stretchiness of the characters would translate into the game. But for the most part, I could have always saw how they would have played in Smash because, it's pretty obvious because they have their arms, so, all of their attacks would be involved with that. But regardless, I still think Min Min is really fun to play, probably because I really do like ranged characters. I also do like how you can use both your arms at the same time when you're doing like your normal attacks, and honestly that's just really fun. You have 3 arms and one of them can actually just be another dragon arm, but even then I still think it's nice to use regardless. I like using the heavy ball one just because it hits like a truck, and I still have some decent range with the other arm. While she is a little bit on the slow side both in movement and attack speed, I don't really mind as much just because of, again, the range. Swapping between her arms is also pretty fast, which is a nice contrast because I think this helps you adjust to the situation better. Now moving on to her stage music, and I think both are pretty nice. The gimmick here is that the panels at the end let you jump really higher, and I believe you have a hitbox around you when you do, and that can lead to some dumb kills. And the top of the stage you can actually bounce off at the top right and left, so vertical kills can be a bit more tricky. Then we have the music, which overall is pretty great. I think the ARMS soundtrack is really nice, has some high energy, and it's just fun to listen to. I can't say I don't have a favorite track just because all of them are pretty great, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. And I would rate Min Min a 3.5 out of 5 just because I think she was a pretty nice start to the second Fire Pass. If only she had a more unique arm in her arsenal, because I kinda didn't like the second dragon arm, but overall still she's pretty fun. And now we have Steve, and if you ask me, this was a character I was not expecting to get into Smash. This really just made my reaction really energetic just because, I was really interested to see how he works, and again, the fact that I wasn't expecting it. And after seeing his direct and playing him, I thought he was a lot more fun than I was expecting. He gets his crafting abilities from his game by being able to upgrade his weapons depending on how much materials you have and depends on what you get. This I like just because you can get stronger in the match, and it's pretty fun to micromanage both fighting and mining. And while he is kind of hard to play for me, I still found him pretty fun for the most part. His other moves like his side B, his up smash are pretty fun to use for me. Now moving on to his stage, and I really liked it. While its gimmick isn't really biggest out there, it just looks different depending on what button combination you press or just randomly, and it has breakable blocks. I just really like the aesthetics of the stage because it's just different biomes from Minecraft. And then we have the music, and frankly, I didn't really care for it other than the Hallen and Dalama song. Oh, I believe that's how you pronounce it last part. Finally, my rating for Steve has to be 3 out of 5 just because while his moveset is a bit tricky for me, he's still kind of fun. And now we're getting to the third character of the Fighters Pass, and that has to be Sephiroth. And I'm very mixed on him getting in. On one hand, I'm glad another Final Fantasy character got in, but to me it kind of sucks that it had to be another Final Fantasy 7 character. I don't mind the game, it's just that I felt it could have been either a character from another entry like 9, or at least another fan favorite one like 6 or 10. That, or I was kind of hoping it would have been a different Square Enix character, but at this point it's whatever. I want to mention, before Sephiroth did show up, I kind of thought it was Virgil from Devil May Cry just because that seemed like something he would do, but then One Winged Angel started playing, and it shows how far off I was on that. But on the character himself, I did like his moveset for the most part. Moves like up air, forward smash, and specials are really nice to pull off, and the range is pretty insane. While some other moves I thought were just kind of okay, like his up tilt and forward air, they're still nice to use, especially for their range, but I didn't really like using them all that often. His gimmick is having a One Winged Angel form, which I thought was nice, and it actually changes depending on what stock you have. So say for example, if you're at 30 but you're stock behind, it could maybe activate, and I don't know if it actually does, I'm just saying that as an example. So now you can make a comeback sooner, which
it's kind of cool to me. Moving on to the stage, and I think it's just alright. I do think Midgar is the cooler one out of the two because of its gimmick, since Sephiroth's stage is just, different backgrounds. While it's really nice looking, it's just, nothing really special. The music, it's great. I love Final Fantasy VII music and all the new tracks that were added as well. Overall, Sephiroth to me gets a 2.5 out of 5 because I found his moveset to be fine, as I mentioned. I just wished it could have been someone else that isn't from Final Fantasy VII. Now moving on to my personal favorite characters of this pass, that being Pyra and Mythra. This was also another character I was kind of thrown off of, since at the start I kind of assumed it was just going to be more Xenoblade 2 DLC for whatever reason, but then no, we got a Smash reveal. I kind of wish it was someone like Zeke, but even then, I don't even think it matters that much since I think these two are still amazing choices. From all the stuff they showed in the trailer and the direct, they looked really fun to me. And when I got to play them, swapping in between them ended up being really fast, and for a character like this, I think it ended up helping the flow of the gameplay. In this case, I don't really mind playing either of them since the range is very similar, and to me, they're actually the smoothest DLC characters to play, if that makes sense. They have really nice aerials and stuff like up smash I really love to use. Mr. Specials I also really liked, and while they're kind of weaker than Pyra's, it doesn't really matter all that much to me since again, they're just fun to pull off. Now with the stage, and frankly, it's probably the worst part to me. While it's nice seeing the other titans in the background, the stage itself is pretty small, and I was also kind of hoping it would have been another major area in the game because visually I found it kind of boring. Steve's stage at least had different biomes, while Minrin's was also really colorful and Sephiroth's had really interesting backgrounds. This one, again, not so much. I also don't like the gimmick here where it's only Sora's head that moves, so that might mess up your recovery, but even then, it's only for one side. But the music on the other hand, I really love. All the Xenoblade 2 tracks they added were great. My only wish is that they could have added Xenoblade X music, but maybe there were problems getting the rights to them, so, that could have been it. I have no real idea. But overall, I rate these two 4 out of 5. Both are really fun to play. I just wish the stage was better. Now we have the second last character, Kazuya, and for him, I felt that it was actually kind of expected that we'd probably get another Bandai Namco character, at least it felt natural, since they did help with the development of this game and Smash 4. And getting a Tekken character was one I didn't expect because the gameplay of those games are in 3D, and the fact that each limb has a different attack button in them, which kind of confused me in how it would work in Smash because it definitely confused me when I started playing Tekken 7 for the first time. And well, when his direct came around, I can say that I was very interested to at least try him out. And when he released, I could say he's one of the most unique characters, even in comparison to the other fighting game characters like Ryu, Ken, and Terry. But for me, I ended up not liking him as much as I thought I would. He ended up feeling a little bit weird just because, depending on the angle of the control stick is a different attack, and he does have special inputs like the other fighting game characters, but they're just okay, I guess. They're not really a lot of fun to pull off, at least for me anyways, and it's kind of just awkward, at least for me in general. But I still think this is probably the best way they could have gotten a Tekken character while making them feel like a Tekken character in Smash, since, they are completely two different fighters. But I actually did end up liking some of his attacks, like his side B and his down smash, since the latter is a really nice combo starter. He's a lot more close range, and I think that's alright since they all pretty fast, but his range attacks are pretty slow from what I feel, and that kind of sucks for someone like me since I like more ranged fighters. Now moving on to the stage, and it's pretty nice. It's similar to Snake's stage where you have to break the sides to actually get some KOs. And while with Snake's stage you can actually kill from the top, that's the only real difference I believe because I don't think you can break the top. But with Kazuya's stage, visually it's okay, it's just a dojo with Heihachi in the back. Finally we have the music, and I think it's pretty nice. Tracks like King of the Fist, Chicago USA, and Emotionless Passion are really great to listen to. But overall, I would probably give Kazuya a 2.5 out of 5. While he's just kind of awkward as I mentioned to play for me, stuff like his music and stage are still pretty nice. Finally, we have the last DLC character, that being Sora. Like a lot of the other DLC characters, I wasn't extremely hyped for him, but I at least thought he could have been really fun to play based on what I played of the Kingdom Hearts series. And I'll give him a point over Sephiroth considering the fact that he's at the very least a character from a different Square Enix franchise, so there's that. And let's get into the gameplay, and I found it to be just okay. He's really floaty, and while I understand why, it just doesn't feel right to me. Unlike Mewtwo, it just feels like his jumps have no impact, if that makes sense. It's kind of similar with his attacks in general, but I don't really think that's as bad. It's just the movement I feel is even more weirdo. His up B, side smash, and down smash I think have some pretty good range, and I just found them really nice to use. I kind of did wish his neutral B was like a spell list, kind of like Hero's down B, but it's not that hard to know what you're going to use, and you can easily just, use one and then get to the one you want, so at this point it's just a very minor nitpick for me. His stage, on the other hand, is just alright. It's very similar to Sephiroth and a few other ones, where it just, moves to different parts of the area, and visually it looks really nice, both the inside and the outside parts. And then we have the music, and while it's not the biggest selection, I still think overall it's really nice to listen to. For Sora, while I still think he's really fun, again, just his movement and whatnot, I just still think it's awkward, but I think his attacks at least help make him feel pretty strong to me, so I would give him a 3 out of 5, and again, I still do like a majority of his moves, and he isn't awkward to play for me. The DLC pass, I think, was just as if not more insane than the first one because of characters like Steve and Sora and whatnot. And while it's like the Force Pass where I ended up only gaining height for one character, in this case it being Pyra Mythra, I still think most of them are fine additions and I'll enjoy to play. But I really want to hear what you guys ended up really liking. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching and see you guys later. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter, and if you want to see my thoughts on the Force Fighters Pass, make sure to also check the description.